Hi, and welcome to another edition of Race Reviews with Billy and Sam. This is going to be just on the race, so if you're looking for race stories, we'll do that in a separate video. But yeah, this one is Ironman 70.3 Oman, specifically Muscat. There are two races, there are two Oman races, and this is the one at the end of February.
Muscat? I think it might be Muscat.
Muscat? Forgive me.
I don't know. I've heard other people pronouncing it.
Okay, then let's go with that.
Okay, anyway. Tell me about check-in.
You're from Georgia.
Right. That's why it's Muscat.
Yeah. So, check-in was, what do you want to call that? Maybe like a mall? It's kind of too small for that. Maybe, I don't know. There's a three-story shopping center, like but a multi-story shopping center on the ocean. The Gulf, on the Gulf of Oman. But, you know, standard Ironman check-in, I'd call it. They didn't have a QR code for this one. This one is a licensee race. So I feel like we should mention that. So it's an Ironman branded race, but it is not technically put on by Ironman. Licensee puts it on, and so typically those are smaller races, but this one is the smallest we've done.
Well, I think we sat at around 500 people.
Yeah.
And probably not even all of those 500 showed up. I saw some empty spots.
Yeah.
Because the numbers were assigned prior to, it wasn't dynamic numbering, it was numbers assigned prior to.
Yes. So you did get your name on your Stadt number, on your bib number. And, of course, your country. And your t-shirt size. We'll talk about that later. This one with 500 people would be very interesting to see how far roll down went.
Yeah, we didn't go, but they had 45 slots, so I bet a lot of people who normally wouldn't get a slot got a slot here. The issue was our times were not great, but there were some really low times.
There were some
here
fast people.
That I mean, I don't know why, but anyway, because it wasn't an easy course for sure.
No.
But one thing to note, if you saw our Panama race, so this is our second race in 2020, second Ironman race in 2022, and not because we are elite, but because we did a whole bunch of races last year. We got Ironman's all-world athlete designation, so if you kind of see this thing on here. So what that meant for this race was that you got preferred bike parking, which was really beneficial for us because when you get that parking with all of the other all-world athletes, when you get out of the swim, your bike's the only one left on the rack. It's so convenient just to pull it off. And then you don't have to worry about when you get off the bike. I mean, everybody else's bike is already there, so you don't have to worry about running into anybody or anything. There's just your slot.
I apologize for the convenience. Really, yeah, I got you. Yeah, this was a bagged race, so so everything was hanging on hooks. So same thing. The hooks were nice and empty.
Yeah, all the hooks around us. It was just your bag.
That was super.
And you didn't have to hang your bag up when you were finished with it. The volunteers did that, so that was pretty cool too. That was. You never know what you're going to get with the all-world athlete status.
Hey, sometimes it's a mug. Sometimes you don't get anything.
You got a backpack with check-in.
Yeah, it's a nice-looking backpack. It just seems really thin.
I don't know. I mean, it's
depth to it.
The problem with this race is we're going to compare it to Egypt a lot.
Yes.
And the design of the Egypt backpack was just so much better.
It was better.
The aesthetics of it. I mean, to be fair, the strap broke off my Egypt backpack before I even got home.
That's true.
But the backpack still looks cool.
It did look cool.
You can sew that strap back on.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we got from check-in. Transition was T1,
T2 were same place.
Yeah, 8 bikes per rack, but it was a bagged race. They had a tent that you could change in with some chairs, and it was just a few chairs. I felt like they needed more chairs. I had a chair for me. But a lot of people were changing outside on the ground.
Yes. Yeah, there were 6 chairs or so in there, I counted.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, and they had men's and ladies separate. But also it was Egypt put that fake grass over everything. And there was grass, but it was also kind of sandy. And I mean, this is the super fine, like dirt sand is what I would compare it to. So, I mean, you get that on your feet and you wipe it off or whatever, and you still have it. And it's not like the 60 grit sandpaper or whatever where it's chafing your feet the whole time. It's just kind of dirty.
Yeah, I did not have any issues chafing. But I did see some people had put in their bag from swim to bike a water bottle to rinse off their feet. So there you go. Pro tip: if comfort is more important than speed, little water bottle, boom, throw on some socks, you're good to go.
So that's transition swim. You want to tell us about swim?
Yeah. So transition bike in and bike out are in the same spot. We got preferred numbers, but they still went down the whole row.
Yeah.
So it's not like all of the preferred numbers were up at the front and you just had different. It was.
And it's going to be luck of the draw. I mean, if you happen to get number 101, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
But if you were 201, 301, 401, any of them that ended all had the best spots as far as getting in and out. I'll venture to say that we had the better side of the rack because we had more room,
lots of space.
But whatever. I mean, I don't think anybody probably had much trouble because you're changing somewhere else, and then you're coming and getting your bike and running it out to the out. The run out was the opposite side of the bike in and out, opposite end.
Yes, yeah, and that I guess we'll get there. But I had poor communication from my volunteers. Like, hey, which way out?
They were like, bro, are you going to finish this race?
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to stay in here and take a nap or something?
And that was a reasonable question at that point. So
so the swim in is in like one corner.
Yeah.
And then the bike out is on the same end as the swim in, and then the run out is in a different corner. So 3 different corners you had entrances and exits. So anyway, it's a really small transition, but you do need to know which way the run out is, which is near the changing tents.
Yeah. Also of note, your white bag, your morning clothes bag, you are meant to leave those at transition. It was a literal words they were given.
And it wasn't even transition. It was further past transition at the where you pick up your food.
Yeah.
So basically, you were leaving it where you were going to go pick it up.
So ask before you leave transition, hey, where am I putting my thing? Because we walked all the way to swim start, which was not terribly far. We're not killing ourselves.
Meters, I mean,
but it would have been nice to have a volunteer there saying, white bags this way.
Yeah, because there were a lot of people walking a swim start with their white bag. Either that or just have a big bin there at swim start for people to drop their white bag and they could take it back and put them on those racks.
Yeah, that's usually what you see, but I don't know. So start at the swim.
Yeah, so the swim start.
We should start really the day before on the swim.
Oh man, the water was green. You should see if you want to see what the water looked like the day before the swim. Go to our Instagram page and scroll down to wherever the Oman thing. I mean,
it looked like pea soup. I mean,
this is the ocean. This is the Gulf of Oman.
I was very much expecting to come out with some sort of superpower.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. However,
an algae bloom had happened.
The day of the swim, which is just the next day, we're looking at it, it's 12 hours later?
Yeah.
12 hours later, the green's gone.
I have no idea what happened to that algae, and it makes me really nervous, but I'm not going to ask questions.
I mean, it's dark, and you can see the waves you could see the water breaking, not very big waves at all, but there were little bit of, and it looked white. And we're like, oh, is that water white? And there's like, it's no way it's white. But when the sun finally got enough where you could see it, you'd be like, oh, wow. They cleaned that out somehow. Somebody cleaned it out. It was kind of weird. But anyway, swim start. You go down some steps and you hop into the water. There's 2 timing things, and the first one we thought was where it started your time, but I think it actually probably was the second one because there was another mat
There was another mat, but there were no wires to it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, so it was kind of a weird place to start. But anyway, so your timing might start while you're still in line. That's what happened with Chattanooga.
Yeah, we've been gun shy on that since Chattanooga.
But you get out there and you actually walk, jog,
it's a pretty
whatever
good
you do for. Maybe I think I looked at my watch. It was like 70 meters from the time that I started to the time that I actually started swimming was around 70 meters, and then it's kind of over, out, back. I mean, it's kind of a weird design.
Imagine a pyramid without the cap. So if a pyramid, but you've taken off the top triangle, so it starts at one location and then it comes back at another, which they're not terribly far apart.
I mean, so it wasn't a 180-degree turn around the buoy. It was more of a 90-ish turn, and then more of a 90-ish, and then... Anyway, the water smelled bad.
Man, we're going to work on your...
my numbers.
After this, it's definitely over 90, right? Because you're going this way. So 90 would be straight.
I said 90-ish.
Yeah, got you. Like 120, 130. Yeah.
But it wasn't 180.
It was a 180.
It was closer to 90 than it was a 180.
Sorry. Fortunately, we don't have any trig people watching this, or we'd be in real trouble.
I mean, I'm basing it on the angle that's actually where they put the buoys, not the angle of the map.
That's
so I'm thinking the way they did the buoys.
That's fair, the way that it was experienced.
Anyway, I think we've decided it's an ocean swim, but either no current or a small negative current. I mean,
yeah, my time was exactly where I was expecting it to be.
But for a lake, for an ocean with no current, it should be a little bit faster.
A little bit faster, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So anyway, it was it was not a fast time. Do not. I mean, for us, it wasn't. Don't expect a fast swim.
But yeah, no waves to deal with at all. It was glass. So.
And after you got out past that first turn, the smell went away.
Yeah.
And then the third turn or fourth turn, whenever the last turn, when you came back in, the smell came back, and it was.
Yeah, I thought I had gone nose deaf, and I was like, okay, it's just gone because I can't smell it anymore. Nope, I can't. It wasn't there. So
anyway, come in off the swim, and they had a water truck with this fire hose going out on these showers. I would have liked a little bit more pressure on that, but I mean, I'm sure they had. And they probably had an allotment of water that they could use.
There was only as much as was in that truck, and
So
you had to have it on for what? The fastest guy's going to do it in 20 minutes.
Yeah. So you had to. I mean, it had to be going for probably an hour.
Yeah.
But anyway, the come in, pick up your bag, change your clothes, and I mean, same issue. It's you just get the dirt. I mean, because your wetsuit ends up with just dirt all over it.
It
because,
does.
And then you have to put it in a bag, so it's not like you can dry it out anywhere. And then put on your bike clothes, hop out on the bike.
Yeah. So the bike.
Tell me about the bike.
I had a long bike. I experienced a lot of biking. These roads.
Now, let's qualify this. Prior to hopping on the bike, had you even looked at the map?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, looked at the map and saw. I think in my mind I had translated it into feet, and it was actually meters. Because I was like, man, I remember the number 900. That's 900 meters, not 900 feet. So that would be consistent with what we got on our watches.
I don't know. I don't know where you went, but I got 2,050 something feet of climb.
I got an extra 400 feet of climbing.
Yeah, I don't know where you were climbing. You must have been went up some other mountain.
I found a long way. So yes, this is a hilly to very hilly course. It's not rolling because you'd have these nice fast downs, but long ups. But nothing. It wasn't anything punishing. I was not prepared for hills.
There was one hill that was brutal.
One hill was nasty, and I actually had to get off my bike. That's the first race I've had to do that on, period. It was not a hill that you should have to get off of your bike.
And you've been doing some great training, huh?
Yeah, obviously Florida training's paying off. So you should not have to get off your bike, but there is one very bad hill. But
200 meters, 600 feet of climb on that one hill. I was zigzagging back and forth on this hill to get up, and it was a tough hill.
So you'll see it was mile 21.
And our bikes are still set up for the Blue Ridge climb, so we still have the easy gear we can put on there.
2 more gears would be super helpful. But yeah, so the roads, I would compare favorably with, Austria, like European level good roads.
These were the pavement that I love because it's the smooth.
Yeah.
The smooth. Yeah. At minimum, above average roads. Could be some of the best roads we've ever been on.
Yes, I'm going to say easily some of the best roads we've been on.
There were a few things I didn't like. There were some of those metal like
the expansion strips.
No, well those too, but those metal like studs that were in the road.
Oh yeah.
So like in
for
the
crosswalks,
it would be like a rumble strip.
Yeah, cat's eyes is what we call them in the U.S. The little plastic things that are in the middle. That
well these are metal, and there are a whole bunch. There's like 3 rows of them, all kind of close together. And so there's no way to avoid them. You just have to go over it. And there's nothing they can do about that.
No.
I'm nitpicking because these were really good roads.
Really good roads when we're complaining about that. Yeah. So fantastic roads. I mean, they were great. So hilly.
And the scenery was pretty good too.
Scenery was great. I would call this a scenic ride.
I mean, Oman is really nice.
Yeah, we are definitely saying that of our own free will. Yes, we love Oman. It's great here. I just started something.
I mean, Egypt. It's a much nicer than Egypt.
We are basing our baseline comparison so far as Egypt. Will do Dubai next week. So Dubai will at least have 2 races to compare to. But Egypt, you went out and it was desert, and you came back and it was desert, and there was just nothing. Here it's really pretty. I'm fairly confident we went past a palace.
There was something gorgeous, with a whole bunch of flowers and stuff.
Gorgeous buildings. Yeah, the walls for the interstate had flowers planted in them. I mean, their interstate bushes had topiaries. It was gorgeous. I mean, it's really, I call it an absolute scenic ride. Yeah. And plenty of elevation. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I for a rating on this ride, I'd have to give it a 6.5.
Man, you'd have to. I like the Austria ride better.
Yeah.
Which was equally as scenic. Maybe even Austria was a little bit better because of the mountains. But Austria was the temperature was lower, so you were able to appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And this one, I was just trying to get through it. I'm like, yeah, it's hot. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, I was expecting Oman, desert, Egypt once again, and it is not. Lots of flowers, lots of trees. Not that they help. But
still deserty, arid climate.
Yeah, but yes, a lot well planted.
Yeah.
So.
All right, get off the bike and onto the run.
Yeah, so you talk about your run.
So the run is a 3-loop course. And
forgive me when I'm thinking about the bike. They show U-turns.
But those are traffic circles. They're awesome.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, this is once again. That's the best possible way you could have done that. So it's a traffic circle. You come around it. You don't have to slow down, or you could already be going slow. But there was no need to slow down, do the traffic circle, come back. So the U-turns are not anything to be concerned about. Sorry. Back to you.
We're on the run now, right? There's some U-turns on the run too, and they are actually U-turns. But it's the run. 3-loop course, which you get to see people more often that way, and for spectators it's a shorter area. It was part of it was along the beach, part of it was kind of through the city, through past the Opera House. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
And so it was cool. I would not call it hilly. There were some inclines. I wouldn't even say there were even any hills really that you had to force yourself up or whatever, but inclines. I think my watch said
basically to like a low bridge was really, but it was a nice long incline. Yeah, not bad.
I think my watch said 400 feet of climb or something like that. Something like that. It wasn't flat, like flat, but it was not too bad. And I don't know. You didn't have to run past the finish line.
Yeah.
You just ran all the way up to the finish line chute and then made a U-turn. And you had to do that twice. So you came around the first time, and then you came back, then you came around the second time, and you came back, and then the third time you went down the finish line chute. But the good news, they had wristbands, so you got like a blue and then a yellow and then a green, and so when you had the green, then you went on to but the good news is when you came towards that finish line chute, there was an aid station right there, and those guys were cheering so loud for you when it was your 3rd loop. They were like, "Oh yeah, you're done! Go! Yeah, you're finished." So that was kind of cool. The aid stations were good. My first loop, they were not giving out ice. The second loop and third loop, they were giving out ice, and man, did that make a big difference. All 3 loops, you had to look for the cold water.
Yeah.
The first loop, it was only warm water, and I'm like, what in the world are y'all doing giving out warm water? And then
the waters were on pallets sitting in the sun. And you're on your first loop, like, dude, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah, and they were the little water bottles, which, I mean, it's fine. But you just grabbed 2 of them. You had to chug them so that you could toss them at the trash can, which wasn't too far away. So it wasn't like you could have the big bottle where you could carry with you to the next aid station. But I don't know if it was just poor planning or we were just extra slow. I mean, I know we were slow. But, I mean, when I'm doing my first lap, the winners were finishing up on their third lap. Why is there hot water for them on their third?
Yeah.
Anyway, finally I was able to figure out a system in that you look for the bottle with the condensation on it. Okay, so there'd be 4 or 5 people out there handing out waters. You looked for the one that had condensation on it because it was going to be cold or colder. And then when they started handing out ice, then everything was good. So I don't know if it was just poor planning. I don't know. But it was.
So they had ice at the last aid station for me on the bike. On the bike, wow. Actually. Yeah, they had
did you
some
stop
ice.
at that aid station?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't tell on the bike. You're there.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I even grabbed so you could not buy a Oman water bottle, but they were handing them out on the bike, so we grabbed one of those jokers.
This is. It was not Egypt all over again. Egypt was the one where he came back with like 8 water bottles.
Yeah, I could only get. They only had 2. Okay. By the time I realized it, I could only get 2. I would have come home with as many as I could have. Yes.
Okay. They're not nice water bottles. They're cheap water bottles.
I mean,
they say Oman on them.
I don't know if you noticed. This says Ironman on the front of it, and that's like $3 a liter. So this is a $50 water bottle right there. So.
All right. So what you got any stories for? I mean, not stories.
Right. Yeah. So that was So I'm at the back. I could actually see the sag wagon coming. I got asked what loop I was on, so that's where I was in the old Ram, and I was fortunately finishing my last because I'm pretty sure I was about to get cut if it was only number 2. But yeah, the volunteers at the last aid station had actually made a tunnel for us, and they were cheering and super excited. So yeah, the volunteers were awesome for this race. Just incredibly friendly, really happy to help with anything. Whether you wanted it or not, I actually got dunked a couple of times. I was pointing at the ice, and the water guy was over here, and he assumed I wanted water sprayed all over my head. I didn't because my shoes were dry up until that point. Oops. But he was being nice. Just go with it. I got the ice that I wanted. So yeah, once the ice was really the big shift that made that run so much more doable.
No shade.
No shade.
Not
at all.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You're just out there baking.
I mean,
use sunscreen. But
I told him to, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Or you could have sleeves on. Just throwing that out there.
Are you telling on me, man?
You're telling on you. I was just making sure I wasn't in trouble too.
I could have used sunscreen. It could have just been that the sun was so powerful that even with the sunscreen, did you get sunscreen lines?
No, because I have sleeves.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
see, we had this. It could have been just perfect. I could have been using sunscreen and still got sun.
Yeah, but my hands are still the same color as the rest of me.
That sunscreen, you came in like white.
Yeah.
Even after the whole run, you were still white. All right, we're getting off track. All right, here we go.
So finish line. I don't know what the early finish line was like, but the late finish line, they were very excited.
Yeah, had music, announcer, British announcer?
Something.
And they were excited when we came in because there's not too many people behind us.
Yeah.
So they're like, our day's almost over.
Yeah.
Water, warm water, at the finish line in these sweet finisher T-shirts.
Would you call them sweet?
Along these sweet, perfectly fitting finisher T-shirts, along with the medal.
It's good medal.
I'll give you a pretty good
It goes in line with the rest of the square medals we've had. Interesting. So he calls it perfectly fitting. I'm not saying that I'm wearing a dress, but it is triple XL.
So, I mean, the deal was they wanted to make sure they saved those for all the people that were coming in at the end, because they knew that was who was coming in.
Obviously. So I'm going to start my diet today, actually. Congratulations. My Oman. Yeah, thanks Oman. So, yeah, you got a rating for the race on that kind of downer note? Just joking. I've got a ton of T-shirts.
So it's a cool race. There are things that could be done better for sure.
What kind of
5.5.
What kind of things could be done better?
The water was a big deal.
Yeah, that's not really his fault. That's not right. I don't weather and that kind of thing. I don't leave to the race director. That's not their fault.
The water bottles.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes.
The water bottles absolutely within their control.
Okay.
Make sure you have cold water on the run. I never got anything at the bikes, so I don't know if they were cold or
the
not.
volunteers, it was not cold. Volunteers all had the tops off the water bottles and were handing them to us, so they mitigated as much as they could.
Okay, so the first I did get at the bike aid stations, I did get the first one. Man, this is all out of order. First aid station 15.75. Second aid station was in the 31
32
range.
Yeah.
And then the third aid station was in the mid 40s, so closer to the end. But the second aid station and the third aid station are the exact same aid station.
Yeah.
You just go out and you come back and you hit the third one. So that's, you'll know where it is, because anyway, you can just gauge how that is. The first aid station, the bottle, the top was not off my bottle, so I had to do it with my hand. But all I was doing was pouring it over me anyway, so it worked out fine. But then the second two were, yes, they had them. They had the bottles off, tops off. So that was nice. 5.5.
I'm actually going to go 6.5 on this one. It's hot, so I don't know how
Maybe I'm all messed up on my ratings.
Would you do this race again?
Yeah, I do this race again. So they got to be higher than 5.5.
Got to be higher than 5.5 to do it again,
okay.
Right? Because that's what you gave to Panama.
All right.
Hey man, you rate it however it's once again arbitrary and doesn't really matter. So I'm saying 6.5. I'd absolutely do this race again. Oman is super cool. I'd highly recommend it.
I guess my ratings are all screwed up.
Hey man, you do you.
Okay.
No judgment.
I got you.
It's cool. I just want our friendly guy who's watching us to let I have the higher rating. I love Oman. So
you should see him. He's got the scope. He's on this building across from us. You can see the reflection of the scope. So I'm gonna try to ease.
This will be a solo video for Dubai, because one of us is going to be in Omani prison.
It's to talk about Oman. It really isn't like that.
No.
We thought that it was going to be a lot worse than it is. In fact, we didn't even bring our families.
Conservative. Yeah, we were worried it was going to be very conservative.
And we talked to some ladies that were in the race and asked them how it was, and they were like, yeah, over the last 10 or 15 years, it's become a lot more liberal. So have not felt unsafe here at all.
Yeah, we were reading rules about girls needing to cover elbows and knees, that kind of thing. I was like, and so we're out, and there are people in bikinis. There are both men and women in bikinis.
Yeah.
So it's no issue. Very safe. Yeah, great. We're thoroughly having.
Highly recommend the race.
So absolutely. Stay tuned for race stories. Next time.
In the next video.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.